Hello, good morning, welcome. This is Thursday morning. No, it's not Sunday. You're not going to have to check your channel or if you're getting a replay. No, this is Thursday morning. I'm bored, so we're going to do a live build of another GRS Build-A-Cade. This time we're going to be doing the Centipede artwork. So we're going to skin it as a centipede. And I'll have it boot straight into the Centipede ROM. So pretty similar to the stream I did a couple of weeks ago with the Karate Champ. So yeah, just basically a hangout session really while I build this. I got the artwork in the other day, and I've also got artwork for Time Pilot, which won't be today, but another stream perhaps. I had a good Christmas. I hope you all had a great Christmas. Mine was really good. More importantly, I got to spend a lot of time with my gal, and we just hung out and watched movies all day. So anywho, I'm just going to get right to it. I don't have anything to talk about or anything. Like I said, I'm just decided to go live and do this build. So let's I see Hockey Town is here. Welcome. I had a pretty good Christmas, yes. So I hope you did as well. And I'm going to move some things around here. Okay, so like I said, very similar to my previous live stream, GRS Build-A-Cade build. We're going to unbox it, get all the pieces out. I've already pre-cut the artwork from the sheet that was sent to me. By the way, links to everything used here in the description of the stream. I probably forgot to put those in on the previous stream, so I'll go back and add those later. But I believe Glenn's sale is still running on the T-Sticks website for the GRS Build-A-Cade. You could probably still get your 50% off on the GRS Build-A-Cade. And I don't have it over here. I took this out, but I had the 4 control panel kit. You can use the TMG30 code to get that kit 30% off. So I'll probably buy some more of these before his sale ends. Just want to have some kits on hand, and you know, if I don't keep them myself after I build them, I'll give them to people that I know and love, and maybe I'll actually also give them away for a giveaway. Who knows? So anyway, let's get right to it. I got my toolkit, got some scissors if I need them. Got my I picked out the Build-A-Cade trackball control panel from that 4 control panel kit. So this is what we're going to use. So let's get right to it. Let's start unboxing, eh? And again, this is, I mentioned it before, but this is a tight fit for this box. Just got to be gentle with it. I don't like to rip these boxes, even though I'm probably going to wind up throwing it away anyway. But so if you're not familiar and you're just watching my GRS build stream for the first time, This product is packed really well. I can't say enough about how well this package is packed, and they did a great job getting that taken care of, and everything is foam protected, so it's safe. And you'll see that as we go through and pull things out. All right, so level 1. We have our instruction manual, and I'm trying to do. I did my camera work a little differently for this build, just so I can easily hold up stuff, and if I need to, and maybe zoom in a little tighter if I need to on whatever I'm doing. I know it's hard because your fingers are, with these Build-A-Cades, your fingers are in there trying to get wires connected and everything, and I want to be very careful and mindful that you see what I'm doing. Granted, it would probably be better if I had like a headset GoPro camera or something that is actually, you could see what I'm actually seeing, but I don't have that. Santa did not bring a GoPro to me or any other helmet related camera. So, all right. So what do we have here? So first we have the micro SD card that ships with the GRS Build-A-Cade. We're not going to be using this. I have my own SD card that I flashed an image to. So there's a pre-built image that I cultivated and put together that I use on all my Build-A-Cade builds. And it has all of the games that I have the nostalgia for, and I eliminate all the other stuff. I only want the stuff that I remember playing and have nostalgia for playing. So, and as I go through these Build-A-Cade builds, I'm going to be doing one of every control panel type. So I've got, well, my Miss Pac-Man Build-A-Cade, and you can't really see it off camera here, but that's the single joystick and one button controller. And then the Karate Champ, I have the dual stick controller in it, and which is good because I can play all the dual stick games. So today we're going to be working with a trackball based game, which is Centipede. And I think well, the next cab after this, Time Pilot, is going to go back to the single joystick control panel. But I do want to do a driving game. If I can get some artwork for a driving game, that'll be probably my 5th Build-A-Cade build down the road. So anyway, again, this is Glenn's SD card that he provides. And when you insert this and boot up for the first time, you're going to go through the Wi-Fi setup process, and then you're going to connect, and then a download is going to take place that'll install the RetroPie operating system. And I believe it also comes with Robbie Roto as a free game. So again, we're going to set this aside. We're not going to use it. Actually, I'll put it back here. We're going to use my SD card. I'm going to set that over here too so it doesn't get messed up. Stock Jock, welcome. I watched the stream from last night. Wish I'd have stayed up. I could have. He was asking for people to join, and I would have gladly joined in, but I'm trying to stick to my normal workout schedule. So, yeah, I heard you had gotten the Build-A-Cade and for them, and I hope that they have fun with it. And as much fun as I'm having putting these things together. Especially with the different artwork. Hockey Town, I'm also looking forward to the full-size Build-A-Cade, the FU edition, as he calls it right now. It'll probably have a different name by the time it ships, but who knows? Maybe he'll keep FU edition. I don't know. So beginning the unpacking, the artwork, the default artwork that comes with it, we're not going to use. We've got our side panel. This would be our left side panel. We have our monitor, our little monitor here, our 4.3-inch DSi display. This would be a shelf for this would be the shelf to where the marquee light would slide through. It kind of goes underneath the top of the Build-A-Cade. So that's another piece. There's no rhyme or reason to how this was packed other than they probably worked with it to figure out what the best packing options were. Stuff I'm not gonna use, I'm gonna set back here. So level 1 complete. All right, level 2, we got all our wiring harness. We got our wiring harness with all of our connections. And let's see, we have our artwork for the default control panel, the marquee, and the bezel, and of course the right side of the cabinet, which all of this we're not going to use. So goes back there. And then here's our right side panel. Okay, now we have a ribbon cable, which is actually micro SD card extension that goes from the Raspberry Pi board to the back of the Build-A-Cade unit, so that you can this enables you to just slot the SD card in the back of the GRS Build-A-Cade without having to take the thing apart. So handy. I have broken one of these. I've also broken, we'll get to it in a second. I'll talk about that, but I've broken one of these before and had to order, and I'll stop and mention that you can order off of T-Stick's website the parts to these things individually. So like I said, I broke this thing, so I went out on his website, and to make the shipping worth my while, I pretty much ordered a couple of these just to have them. So I replaced the bad one, and I have one on hand in case I do that again. So this would be the bezel or the monitor assembly part. All right, level 2 complete. Now we're into level 3. Got some garbage here, which I don't need. We got our screw kit. So all of our screws and parts that we're going to need to build this thing are in this packet. Here's the other thing I broke, the DSI ribbon cable. So I broke this, and I actually on the monitor itself, I actually broke the DSI connector right here. I didn't know which way to pull up. I'd never done a DSI connector before, and so I broke that. And you know what? Glenn sent me out a new one just to replace it. And the dude is awesome. I mean, he wants to make you happy. He wants to make the community happy. So he goes to great lengths to make sure that happens. So anyway, DSI ribbon cable, very critical that you don't crimp or bend, or you're going to see how awkward it is to put this thing in, and how this cable and this cable kind of intertwine a little bit. But if you're careful with it, everything's fine. So, all right, so that's the DSI ribbon cable. Here is the default control panel, which we're not going to use. You got one joystick, a player 1 start, player 2 start, and then your A button right here. We're not going to use this, so it's a spare part. Actually, I'll probably just leave that in there. I'll leave it in the box. Here's a marquee piece, another marquee piece. So these are pieces to the marquee. You'll see how that fits as we get into the build. Here's your coin door. So this is the front of the coin door. This is actually an audio port. So when this is connected, you can connect headphones to this thing, and you can play your games with headphones on, and that works out really nicely. One of the things he tells you in the documentation is to pull this out before you snap it in place. Pull the cover to the audio port out fully, so that this doesn't catch when you snap it in, because otherwise it's just going to be difficult to open this up in the future. So what you have here is you have your coin in buttons. These are functional buttons. You can hear the snapping. And so yeah, we're going to use that. Here's a bezel. This is our bezel. And I figured out what the orientation was on this last time I did a build. So this is basically top and this is bottom. So when we get to doing the artwork, I can go ahead and do that before it's just easier to do the artwork before you put the thing together. I did put the Miss Pac-Man GRS Build-A-Cade is my prototype. And what things that I learned, number one, the bezel artwork should go on here and not the plastic piece. And it looks better that way. So lessons learned. But again, all my Miss Pac-Man artwork was done after the thing was assembled. I did not take it apart to put the artwork on. And the kick plate artwork was the toughest to get on while it was built. So best to do if you're going to customize your artwork. It's always best to do the artwork first before you build it. All right. Hey, Ted Adam Green. Hey, welcome. Hope you had a Merry Christmas. Yeah, I'm just bored, you know, and I had some things I wanted to do, and you know, I could have done this Sunday, you know, on my regular stream, but you know, I'm not doing anything, so let's take a couple hours and get another one of my GRS Build-A-Cades built. I still have, after this one, I still have 4 to build. I'm waiting on artwork from Joe Zabo. I'm waiting on the Nintendo kits from Joe Zabo, basically. I'm getting a Donkey Kong Jr., and a Popeye. But I'm also going to order some more GRS Build-A-Cades because I'm a big fan of these now. Y'all probably remember way back in episode 8 of my streaming life, I attempted to do a fresh live build, not having touched one of these before, and it went badly. And I felt bad after the fact, apologized, and you know, Glenn helped me get the parts that I needed to correct everything and get it built. And I finally got it built, and I just fell in love with it. I'm a tinkerer at heart. I love tinkering, but when things don't go well, my patience kind of wears thin. So I did remove that episode from public view because I was just embarrassed by it. So, but it was lessons learned. You know, I learned that these things take patience, and they you know, they take amount of just taking your time and putting them together. So here we have, we're on level 3 now. So here we have our back panel. So again, I mentioned the SD card port. So that extension cable is going to screw in here. And then so you're able to insert and remove the SD card from the back. And that's so convenient. I can't tell you how convenient that is. And then you have controls. You have volume control. You have your power on, power off, 2 USB ports. Your HDMI out is going to be right here. Your power input. Here's an actual joystick controller on the back that you can navigate the menu if you need to. And then you got a 1 and 2 button here as well. So yeah, that's your back panel. The board that operates or houses all the functions for those ports is right here. Oh, congrats on the Abernick. Nice. I got my little tablet here so I can see the chat. Okay, so we got we got the ball top, dust cover, and rubber feet. So your control panel. So it even comes with a spare audio input if you need it. So good to have. Then we have, I always forget where this goes. I think it's a part of the monitor assembly. Could be wrong about that. It's a piece. All right, so level 3 done. Again, we're going to leave the default control panel in because we're not going to use it. We have all of our USB cables, audio cable, HDMI cable. So this is your HDMI extension. It's going to go from the back of the Pi, and this screws into the back of the back panel. So all of our cables. Here we have our plastic protective cover of the monitor. It looks a little like a blue hue right now because it has protective film coating on both sides. So we're not going to take that off until we actually get ready to use it. Yeah, Ted, I was already a little bit familiar with RetroPie, having messed with it in a couple of other builds. One of the first mods I ever did, and you can't see it again, it's right over there, is my Miss Pac-Man CounterCade, which I actually put a Raspberry Pi in. So that was my first experience with RetroPie. And I learned a lot. Then a couple of years passed and I forgot a lot. And so working with these Build-A-Cades has brought back a lot of stuff, and it's all coming back to me now. So once you learn how to add your own ROMs to it, you're good to go. There's a couple other things you might want, if you wanted your GRS Build-A-Cade to boot up to a specific game instead of the menu, you can do that. There are tutorials out there to do that on the internet. I do it just because I'm skinning these games as a particular game, so I want them to start as the marquee game. So it's personal preference, really. There are a few other things you can tweak. There are a couple of ROMs that I used in my build that are like the Fast Fire Galaxian, the Fast Fire or Fast Moving Pac-Man and Miss Pac-Man, Fast Fire Galaga. There are specific ROMs for those, and it required a different version of MAME. So I had to install another version of MAME, which was fairly simple to do. And then the other thing I did too was I put a few of the Laserdisc games like Dragon's Lair, Space Ace. I had to install that emulator as well. It's not it's not something you can do out of the box and do yourself. There are various tutorials out there to do that. I highly recommend seeking them out and learning from them. That's how I learned. Here's our bass. We've got our speaker out, and then we got our feet, which we'll be putting rubber things on. Here's our actual coin door. So you got your coin door will snap in right here, and then we have artwork to put on these too. So we'll put the artwork on. Here's our battery. So our lithium battery. About 4 hours of runtime. I did test it, and it was just under 4 hours. But I may have turned it on without the power connected before that. But I'm pretty sure I let it run down, and it was like just a hair below 4 hours. All right, so here we have our mid plate or our mid bridge or whatever you want to call it, but this goes in the middle of the GRS Build-A-Cade just to provide some extra support in holding the thing together, and a little bit of wire routing as well. It's funny how I'm getting to know these parts because I've done this is my third build now, so I'm getting used to it. Here's our marquee, and there is a plastic protector on this, so we'll remove that before we apply the artwork. So that's our marquee. And then we have the piece that I really hate, which is the top. This is kind of cumbersome to get into place. You'll see when I get to that point. It's for some reason you got to have it the sides aligned just right in order for this to snap into place. I haven't quite figured out what that is, what that trick is. So it takes me a little while to work this into place, and you'll probably see that when I when I get there. All right, that's the last level. So the box is now empty. So what I'm going to do is put the levels back in. 4 levels that you go through to unbox. Oh, wow, chat's flying now. Thor KC, welcome. Welcome. Glad you could join me. My rug I got off Amazon, and I don't remember the vendor's name because I got it so long ago. It's not, I actually want a bigger one, so I might look into getting a bigger one. If, you know, if I can remember, I'll do a community post, Hockey Town, on where I got the carpet from. It's an Amazon. It's on Amazon, so I will do that later. Let's see. Gramps Arcade, welcome, welcome. Chris S., welcome. Yeah, I have a lot of nostalgia for Centipede. So I do kind of want the arcade one-up Centipede, and Danny has his for sale right now on Facebook Marketplace. A little bit higher than I'd like to pay for it, but I could get a 3/4 Centipede cabinet. But the nice thing about this Build-A-Cade version is it's going to have the correct monitor orientation. So Thor KC, I got that covered. I've got a keyboard and mouse to do stuff that I need to do on the menu or in the OS if I have to go to the OS level. I do also have a mini keyboard. I can't remember where I got that. I think I got it from Buy Stuff Arcades that I could also use. But they come in real handy keyboards. All right. So let's break out the documentation. I do need to follow the documentation because I don't have that committed to memory yet. The steps. And I will say that Glenn's documentation is awesome. Oh, you know, one thing I did not bring over is the actual Raspberry Pi. I need that. My little Build-A-Cade shelf over here. I pretty much have been buying Raspberry Pi 3Bs for all of these. And then I've also been buying power supplies. And I've got 2 types of power supplies. I got USB-C to wall outlet power supplies. And I've also got USB-C to USB-A extensions that I can run to my New Wave Toys USB power supply. So here we have a Raspberry Pi 3B Plus. Good enough for what I want to do with these Build-A-Cades. And last time I was down, when I was down in Indianapolis for my brother's funeral, I actually stopped at a Micro Center and picked up 3 of these. So I've got plenty of Build-A-Cades. Gallagher guy, welcome. Good to see you. And then this is the wall power supply. Most of the parts, I will have to put links for. I did not put links for the Raspberry Pi power components. I'll update that later. My gal is texting me, and my cell phone is the main camera of this task. So give me a second here, folks. No, thanks. I forgot to tell her I was streaming. All right, so she knows I'm streaming, and I told her no, I don't want Jersey Mike's. That's what she was wanting if she got off work and she wants to bring me some Jersey Mike's. And I'm not in the mood for Jersey Mike's today. All right, let's go back to... Sorry about that, folks. Life interrupts. All right. Like as I was saying, the documentation is pretty amazing for the Build-A-Cade. Easy to follow. So we're gonna step right through it. But as we get to a piece that can have some artwork, I'm gonna do the artwork just to get it done. All right, so we need the bottom. So step one is to unpack all parts and confirm each with the parts list. Well, I'm pretty sure we have everything we need. Option 2 actually does say to do some artwork. So let's go ahead and do that. So we need the marquee, we need the screen bezel. Here's the bezel. So we need the marquee, we need the bezel, yeah, so actually step 2, we're doing artwork anyway. I need, for the side panels, I need my painter's tape. Everybody should have painter's tape in their arcades because it comes in handy for whatever. Especially if you do artwork. Okay, painter's tape. All right, so let's do the coin door first. We'll get our coin door artwork. The coin door is kind of the toughest one because it has this very thin piece here, and when I did my Miss Pac-Man and I tried to put this artwork on when the thing was already assembled, it was so difficult to get this lined up properly and in place. So much easier to do it before you put in the coin door, because it just goes right on. So we're going to lift that. It's easier for me to stand up and do this. All right, so we're working with the Centipede artwork, not Glenn's provided artwork. I mean, it's good enough if you just want to get a Build-A-Cade up and running. The artwork is great for starter artwork, but my artwork comes from ArcadeGraphix. That's an eBay store. There's a link in the description to help guide you to that. So we're going to do the front panel here, artwork. Okay. All right, so kick plate is done. Doing the smaller work is a lot easier. But the side panels we're going to need the painter's tape. So yeah, I got to be very careful with this one. Okay. See, I screwed it up. Oh well. It's a little kink in there, but just got to be very careful with this. But I got a little kink down here, which I'm not going to whine about. I mean, it's probably going to drive me nuts. Oh, I got another kink. Let's see if I can fix this. Probably going to screw things up by doing this, but all right. It's a little better there. Yeah, I got the kink out. That's the most important thing. All right, so there's my bezel artwork. All right, so now we need the marquee. Where's my marquee? I saw it. It must have fallen. Oh, it's underneath. So here's my Centipede marquee. It comes separate from the sheet of artwork that ArcadeGraphix provides. All right, so we're gonna peel the marquee protective film. Thor KC, to answer your question, my next cabinet after this one is going to be another single joystick control panel. That's going to be a Time Pilot. I already have the artwork for that. But after that, I'd like to do a driving cabinet. So I'm going to do the driving cabinet. There's not much artwork available out there for driving cabs. I know Outrun is available from ArcadeGraphix. So I'd like to find another source of Build-A-Cade artwork. And I know Zabo does it, but I'm not using Zabo because I'd like to do these as quick as possible. And we all know that it takes a while for Joe to get stuff to you. So, all right. So here's my marquee. And we're going to peel the backing. I did touch on that a little bit, though. The three that so one more is going to be Time Pilot. So I have 3 left after that, Build-A-Cades. Those are targeted for a Donkey Kong Jr. and Popeye. And I've already ordered from Joe Zabo the Build-A-Cade mod kits to make them Nintendo-shaped cabinets. So I just got to wait for... This is upside down. Just got to wait for Joe Zabo's artwork and kit to come. All right. I don't remember if these had a film protector on it. I don't think they do. Nope. All right. So we've got our marquee together. And he does provide artwork for the other control panel configurations. So let's go ahead and do the control panel right away. So here we have our trackball control panel. And this was taken from the 4 control panel kit that GRS T-Stick sells. Yeah. There we go. This particular control panel comes with a USB cable. And we'll see how that connects here in a second. I think I tried the trackball control panel. I do have Glenn's external control panel kit that it connects via the USB port. We're not going to use this artwork, so we're going to I'm just wondering if those last two are the same. They're a little different. This one's lined up more. Yeah. So we're not going to use the original Glenn's artwork. So here's the trackball control panel. There's your trackball. You got your player 1 start, player 2 start, and then you've got 3 buttons here. Don't know what the button configuration is. It's just 3 action buttons is what the box says. So A, B, and probably X or Y, maybe. So, okay. Let's go ahead and do that artwork. Just center it as best you can over everything. There we go. All right. So you'll just looking at this trackball control panel, there are 2 ports. There's the actual data port, and then there's this, well, actually the USB port, and then there's another port. This is the actual from the wiring harness. So your wiring harness cable will go here, and then your USB cable will go here, and then this will go into an available USB port. I believe this is for the trackball. Pretty sure it is. But we'll set that aside now that the artwork's done. And we don't need the rest of the artwork because unless I want to swap out control panels in my Centipede, and I want to have another control panel configuration available for that Centipede, I don't know why I would, but you never know. So extra artwork is available if you need it for your control panels. Okay. Now we got to do the side panels. This is a little different. So here are my side, this is my side panel art. And I had to cut these out. I cut them out before the stream because I just wanted to have them ready to go. But you got to be kind of careful going around the edges to get your artwork. All right, so line this up as best you can. I always try to put the artwork as far forward as possible and leave any excess in the back that's really not going to be noticeable. So I get it to where I need it to be. You just want to kind of line it up. Should have had painter's tape ready. You take a piece of painter's tape. Actually, I'm going to redo this. So I'm going to have 2 pieces ready here. All right, Let's line it back up again since I screwed it up. Doesn't have to be perfect, but I like to get it as perfect as possible. And then we're going to put our painter's tape to hold on both sides. All right, so now what we want to do, I'll start from this side, is we'll flip this up and we'll peel the artwork. We'll peel the backing off the artwork. And then we'll take a pair of scissors and cut off the backing. I realize that's probably hard to see. All right, so we're going to just lay it down and smooth it out. Okay. And now that I believe it's safely in place, I will peel the painter's tape off. We'll reuse it for the other side panel. All right, and then we reverse the process. We'll peel off the rest of the backing. And we'll just lay it down. And I use my finger as a guide. Don't really have too many problems with bubbles. Not with this size artwork, but you know, when you get to the 3/4 size cabinets, redoing artwork, boy, did I struggle with that Space Invaders artwork on my T2. And there's a little bubble right there. All right, worked it out. That's good. And just keep working it in place. Smooth it out, just a little pressure. There we go, left side done. All right, now we'll do the other side. This should be the last of the artwork that we have to do. So here's our other side. Same thing, same deal. You just want to get it lined up as best you can. Get our piece of tape. Chat, you've gotten quiet. Okay. Same deal. Peel the backing off one side. Cut it loose. Cut the backing loose. And then just work it in side to side. All right. Oh, no, 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 no. Man. I went too quick. Screwed it up. Yeah, patience is everything with doing artwork. It really is. Guys, if you haven't done so already, hit the like and subscribe button. If you like this video, just remember to hit that like button on your way out. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. I mostly live stream. Sometimes I'll do a produced video here and there, but I find that live streaming is the easiest thing for me to do time-wise because I have so little time. All right, so we'll remove the backing on the other side. And then we'll carefully work side to side. Take your time, Pete. Let's not get too hasty. Hasty creates air bubbles. Recent GRS content that I've noticed, Detroit Love had a video on his GRS Build-A-Cade that he did. He's waiting on, I think, Donkey Kong artwork, but he wanted to get it built and he wanted to start playing with the interface and everything. So that's a good video. Check it out. Maybe I'll throw a link to his video in the description later. All right, so our side panels are done. Now we're ready to actually do the build. So gonna get a drink of water here, and I don't have my mute button handy, so apologies. Okay, we don't need the tape anymore. Artwork is done, so all we got to do is put this thing together, eh? So we did that. That's step 2, getting all the artwork done. So step 3, now we work with the base. And we're going to put the rubber feet on. I want to make sure I have a good, view. I was really conscious of that last time. As I watched back that video, I'm like, I got to get my arms out of the way. Still do what I need to do, but at least provide as much view as possible. So we're going to peel off the backing here on the feet. Pretty easy. There's circles there that you just drop these into. Press. That That one's a little off. Kind of a stickler when it comes to lining stuff up. All right, that's good enough. What's next for the quarter deck arcade? Well, I don't have any purchases in mind. Other than I do want to get a 4K pinball eventually, but that's a ways off. Trying to save up money for it. My last purchase was the class of '81, and everything's paid for, so very happy about that. Okay, so that was step 3. Step 3 is done. Oh, I know what that piece was. This little piece. This is to hold the battery in. I remember it now. All right. So we're going to use the base. There is an arrow on here that indicates front. I don't know if you can kind of see it there, right here. There's an arrow there. Probably can't see it. But this means this is the front of the cabinet. So this being the back, we're going to take the battery and we're going to secure the battery with the wire going towards the back. I like to do it with the wire up, because this way it's kind of facing down. So, all right. So with the wire at the right, rear right, well, he's saying we'll have enough room anyway. I think Glenn is saying to do it this way. We'll put it that way because that's what the documentation says. I think the last two I actually faced it the other way. But okay, so now we need this piece, and this is going to hold the battery into place. That's what this piece is for. We're going to need the screws. So secure the battery into the bottom using the battery strap, which is this piece, and 2 M3x8mm screws. So let's get our screw pack out. We haven't opened it yet. All right, which one do I need? I need the M3x8. That would be part S6. And that is indicated in the manual, so I need the 2 S6 screws. Get my micro tool kit out. Let's get these screws in. Actually need a bigger screwdriver. For this build, I'm not going to go through the well, maybe I will, just so you see it, and it makes for a more complete video. Go through Glenn's SD card. Because as I mentioned, I have my own SD card that I'm using for my image. But we can go through the Glenn's process. All right, so step 4 complete. We've secured the battery. All right, now we're going to start working with the screen. So let's take the screen out. There we go. All right. All right, so it's got a protective film on it. It wants us to take that protective film off. So we'll do that, and we'll lay it on our cloth surface here. Put the garbage where the garbage goes. All right. So place a clean soft cloth or towel on a flat work surface. Remove the protective film from the screen, which we did, and set face down with the DSI connector positioned at the top. This is the DSI connector right here. I'll stand it up so you can see it. That's the DSI connector, and that's what I struggled with. That's what I broke. It's just straight up and down, very slightly. So don't do what I did and try to move it off to the side here, because it kind of moves that direction, but you do not want to press firmly while it's angled to a side, or you will break that piece off. I have a feeling that happens a lot for especially first timers that do that, and because then the DSI cable is going to slot in here, and then you're just going to press straight down to lock it in place. So, all right, so attach the screen mount F2. That would be this piece right here. This is F2, says so on the part, F2. The part number F2 would be on the left side, which it is. So we're going to slide this bracket over the monitor, and then we need 4 M2.5 by 5 millimeter screws. That's bag F S3. That would be this one. A lot of tiny parts to work with. Come on. My girlfriend's home. Once you get through a couple of these, you get used to it, and you know what to look for. Like I said, I made the mistake of trying to live stream it for first time, and that did not go well. All right, so step 5 is complete. We've got the bracket on the monitor. Step 6, with the overhang at the top, secure the screen bezel, part F1, to the screen mount using 4 M2.3 by 6 millimeter screws, S4. So we're going to flip it over here. And attach the bezel to the monitor. And we need to attach it with the bag S4 screws. There they are. 2.3 by 6 millimeter. So we're going to be using 4 of these screws. Yeah, Thor, I'm actually interested in that My Arcade pole position. Might look to see if I can't get my hands on one. I'm curious. I've always skipped the My Arcades because they just look so damn cheap to me. But everybody says on their streams that it's a pretty neat little device. So I might pick one up. If I can find somebody with pole position artwork, I'd make one of these a pole position for my driving cab. I'd rather have a pole position than outrun because I have more nostalgia for pole position. All right, so step 6 is complete. Attaching the bezel with the overhang at the top where the DSI connector is. So now we're moving on to step 7, and we're going to insert 10mm standoffs, S1. These are our standoffs here. There's 2 sizes. There's a 10mm and then there is a 20mm. So we're going to use the 10mm, the shorter ones. All right. Should be 4 of them in either case. So we're going to insert these standoffs in the back of the monitor. And I'm just going to hand tighten them. That's all it's really needed. All right, so our standoffs, our 4 10mm standoffs are in. Step 7 is complete. Flipping the page. All right, now we're getting to the DSI cable. Here we go. Gently lift up the latch on the screen DSI connector, which I did. Insert the DSI ribbon cable with the blue side facing towards the top. So what I find with these ribbon cables is when the manual says blue, but there's actually a black side on these DSI ribbon, unless I've become suddenly colorblind. So here's your DSI ribbon cable, black side, blue side. It says blue, manual says blue. It's actually black. At least that's how I see it. And you just slide it into the connector. And then you're going to push down on the DSI connector to lock it into place. Boom. See? It's not going anywhere. It's in there. All right. All right, so now we're going to get our Raspberry Pi out. Here's our Raspberry Pi. This is your actual computer. You got your ribbon cable connector. You've got your HDMI. Got your power. You got your audio. Here's your DSI connector on the Pi side. And then you've got your Ethernet cable and 4 USB ports. We're not going to use the Ethernet cable. There's also wireless capability on these things. So this will grab an IP address on your network using DHCP. So, all right. So what it wants us to do for step 9. So it wants us to secure the Pi to the screen and insert the micro SD card extension cable. So I'm going to get that out. This is our micro SD card extension cable. So you got two ends to this. Here's the end that goes to the Raspberry Pi, which is basically in the shape of a SD card. And then here's your extension port right here. Yeah, there it is, right there. So this goes in the back eventually. So here's our Raspberry Pi. Our SD card is on the back side of the Raspberry Pi. I'm putting it in the wrong way, of course. And you want to put it in until the notch meets the metal guide or cover. So it's all the way in. That way you know it's all the way in. And now we need to attach the Raspberry Pi. Here's where it gets tricky because you're fighting with the DSI cable, right? So actually it has to be this way. So we're going to mount the Raspberry Pi on top of the 10 millimeter what are those called? Standoffs with the 20 millimeter standoffs. So here's our 20 millimeters. So we're going to screw the Pi in on top of the 10 millimeter standoffs. And again, I just hand tighten this stuff. It doesn't have to be really super tight. Just enough to hold the Pi in place. All right. So that would be step 9. So now we're going to connect the DSI ribbon cable from the screen to the DSI connector and the Raspberry Pi. So again, see the problem here? So you've got two cables fighting for space here, and you got to get this DSI connector into the Raspberry Pi DSI connector. And again, the black side will be facing up, so your contacts will be facing outward. So we're going to slide the DSI cable in all the way, and then we're going to press down on the connector. Oh, one side did not go in. There it goes. All right, so our DSI cable is connected. Now see the SD card extension is kind of looped and to the side of the DSI cable. You don't want to bend or crimp this DSI ribbon cable. So this is fine, just having it like this. So moving right along. That was step 10. So step 11 is we're going to take all of our side mounted cables and plug them into the Raspberry Pi. All right. So we've got our HDMI cable. Only goes in one way, so HDMI cable is in the HDMI port. Again, this is going to go to the back panel of the Build-A-Cade. All right, let's pull out our other cables. All right, so we've got several cables here, one of them which we're not going to use. So this particular cable is a power cable for the Raspberry Pi 4. I don't use Pi 4s, so I don't need this. We're going to set that aside. And then we have 3 other cables here. The first being the audio cable. So let's do the audio cable. You've got your standard jack It's always the angled one that goes into the Pi because you want it facing upwards. So we're going to place that cable in the audio port. Boom. And there's a better view of it. So you got your HDMI cable and you got your audio cable. All right. So now we're going to do the power. And this other cable we're going to set aside until later, the USB cable. All right, so here's our power cable. We're going to plug that into the power port on the Raspberry Pi. Make sure it's secure. And then this end will go into a USB port on the back panel for power. Okay, so that's all it wants us to do now for step 11 is get those 3 cables in, which we did. So now step 12, attach the wiring harness to the GPIO. That's what this is, GPIO on the Raspberry Pi. Pin 40 is at the bottom. Pin 40 for the GPIO pins will be towards the USB ports. So let's get out our wiring harness. And we're starting to have a mishmash of wires here. This is where it starts getting a little, I mean, not too complicated, but you got to be careful. I'm going to just undo this right here. All right. So just want to extend out the cables. You have various connectors which will identify what goes where. But here's your GPIO connector. And it has a label on it that says pin 40. So on this particular harness, it's purple. Pin 40 again is towards the USB ports. So we're going to slide that on there. All the way down. There we go. We got a wiring harness, audio, HDMI, and power extensions. That would be step 12. So step 13. So now we're going to start putting this thing together. All right. Set this aside a little bit. So now it wants us to get the left side, which is part A. So we're going to set that down. Make sure I have a good view of this. And it wants us to insert the screen assembly into the slot. Now, this is the screen assembly slot, and I will say this is engineered pretty great. I mean, you just have to just sit it in there, and it'll stand up, and it fits. It just works. Oh, I'm doing it upside down. That's why. Duh. There we go. Again, just fits right in. So I had it the wrong way. Okay. That was step 13. Step 14. We already removed the protective film off the marquee. So now we're going to do the marquee assembly. So here's our marquee pieces. So we're going to use the bottom channel and the top marquee channel, which are parts D and E. So here's the bottom channel, and there's these little holes here that go over holes on the Build-A-Cade. So it just kind of stands up on its own. And then here's the top channel. All right, so our marquee upper and lower channels are in place. So now we're going to slide the centipede artwork or marquee in. There we go. A little bit of a booger on there. All right. So that was step 14, getting the marquee in. Step 15. So now we're going to get the control panel assembly. This is the coin door. I need the control panel. Plug the 14-pin connector from the wiring harness into the control panel assembly. All right, so now on the wiring harness, we have to find that 14-pin connector, which would be this one. Slides right on there. And then for the Centipede control panel, since that's what we're using, we need this cable right here. So that goes into there. All right, and we'll leave it disconnected from the USB port for now. And then you slide the control panel into place. See optional control panels if using any of the optional control panels. Let's see what it says. So I'm kind of going through the documentation just to make sure I'm doing the USB part right. So this basically talks about how to disassemble it to do a different control panel. For the spinner and trackball panels, insert the included USB cable into an available port on the Pi. Keep the cable above the center brace. All right. We haven't gotten to the center brace part yet, but okay, so that's what I need to do. Eventually, I need to plug this into one of the 4 ports, and I haven't plugged in the USB cables yet, so we'll take care of that when we get to it. All right, so we've done the pin connectors for the control panel. We've set the control panel into place, and that's step 15. So step 16 is to put the front into position, which is the kick plate. Again, this all sits really nice and neat. It's super easy. There we go. Hockey Town, to answer your question, I do want that sprint mod. I don't have a cabinet to do the super sprint mod too. So depending on what they have available, what kind of mod, I'd like to get a 2-wheel at least. And then I need to find a cabinet that I can modify with it. So we'll see. I'd like to do it. So the answer is yes, I'd like to do it. Depends on if I can find what I need. All right, so step 16 is done. We set the front into position. Now it wants us to remove the protective film on the plastic protector and set that into place. It's on, the film is on both sides. All right, so now we just need to slide this in. There's grooves for this. So you just got to slide it into the groove. And it's not the right way. It's got to go this way. There's only one way for it to go. All right, so our plastic, our monitor protective plastic is in. So now we're going to pop the right side in, and making sure all parts set into place. So the nice thing is you've got these little posts that extend from the side panel that go into post holes in the marquee, and that's kind of your guide. So you kind of want to just snap it into place, make sure all the parts fit. So there's no play there, so I know it's in the slot that it needs to be in. The control panel is in the slot, no gaps. All right. So this is where it gets kind of tricky. I'm just going to hold this down so it doesn't pop up on me. So the very first piece that it wants to join these together, it wants me to do is the top. And that's the one I struggle with the most. So we have our top here, and the arrow faces forward. So step 18, which was to put the side panel on, we've done that. Step 19 is to align the top with its tracks, arrow facing front, arrows facing front, and slide it into place. And you'll watch how miserable I am at getting this done. Now here's where the issue is. There's a gap here, but it has to butt up against the marquee. And I always struggle with this part, getting this together. So if you guys have built these and you have tips on how to get this done a lot quicker, this is like it's almost as frustrating as an Arcade 1-Up, putting a Arcade 1-Up side panel on, lining up all the dowels and stuff. But this is, you get this piece into this far, and then you can get one side in, but the other side doesn't want to go. I don't know why that is. Frustrating as heck. Eventually, if I keep working at it, it'll go. I think what I did last time was I actually put the bottom in. Just to kind of hold it together better. So we're skipping forward to step 20 for that. So again, arrow facing forward. But at least we'll have the two sides together. And that piece goes in really well. I mean, easy peasy. So now we've got our two sides at least together. Go back to step 19, which is to get this top panel in. Boy, I don't know why I can never get this piece in correctly. Get one side in, but that other side, and I kind of wiggle it out, or no, it can't be that far out. I don't want to force it. But this is a piece I always struggle with. it's in the tracks. Oh. There, now it's in the tracks. One side goes really quick. You'll see it on my other video too. I had the same problem. I always struggle with this piece. All right, so that side goes in, and now this side won't go in. If I had anything bad to say about this, I would try to I would try to tell Glenn to re-engineer this piece so it's easier to get in place. But once you get this done, it's easy peasy from here on out. Any of you guys built these before? Have a trick to doing this step? Try standing it up. Yeah. The feeling the solution is to just keep working it until it pops. You know, and I try to work the cabinet from side to side to try and get them in the holes, but oh, there we go. There we go. Ah, yeehaw. See, eventually you keep working at it and it just pops into place. All right. Whew. Stressful. Okay, we did step 20, which was put the base in, so we got better stability with trying to work this piece in. So let's see, we did step 20. All right, so we need the 2-pin connector and wires from the wiring harness through the opening of the LED panel. So the 2-pin connector. So that would be this one. Again, we got our wiring harness here, and we've got connectors of certain types and lengths. So, and there's only one type of each kind. So here's our 2-pin. This is our marquee light power. So what it wants us to do, so here's our marquee wiring harness or wiring guide. Oh, actually, this is the marquee because here's the LED lights right here. So it wants us to run this wire up through here and then attach it. All right, and then there's a track for this to go in. And again, you want your marquee facing your LED lights facing upwards. Is this going to give me fits now? No. There we go. All right, so it's in there. So now we have power to our LED lights facing the marquee. Okay, now it wants us to move the wiring aside and attach the center brace. So I kind of pick up all the wires except for the control panel USB port. So I kind of grab them all and just kind of move them up like this. And here's our center brace right here. Wire, there's an arrow on there. It's part J, and it goes in the middle track here. And it just adds further stability to the cabinet and helps hold everything together. Okay, why am I not? Oh. So here's why. Okay, we need to run the control panel USB, and I hope I didn't damage that wire. We're going to find out. If not, I've got another. So the USB, you're probably not going to be able to see this, but the USB from the control panel for the trackball has to go above the center brace. Otherwise, it's not going to go in, and you're just going to crimp that wire. Again, first trackball cabinet, lessons learned. All right, that's step 22 is to put that center brace in. Now we're going to put the USB extension in. So we're going to, and I always do the bottom 2 ports. So right now, let's go ahead and attach the USB cable for the, let's attach the USB cable for the trackball. So that's down. So I've put it at the top of one of the USB ports. So now we're going to take our USB extension, and these 2 USB connectors are going to go into the bottom 2 USB ports on the Pi, and then this is going to go to the back panel and plug in for this just extends your USB ports to the back of the unit. So now we're gonna, it doesn't matter which one you do. I'm moving a little bit of the control panel wiring out of the way. As you can see, this is a tight fit, working some of this stuff into place. All right, so we got one in, and now we'll put the other USB connector in the Pi USB port. There. All right, so that's ready to go. Mishmash of wires, right? I mean, but it all goes somewhere. It all has a purpose and a function. So that was step 23, putting the USB extension cable on. I'm going to get a drink of water again. Okay. Now we're going to do the 8-pin connector, which would be this one. And slide it through the coin door, like so. Then we're going to take our coin door. So first we're going to pull the headphone jack out all the way. Because you don't want this to get pinched. All right. So we're going to plug in the connector. Only goes in one way. Boom. And then we're going to snap this into place. And it snaps. Boom. We'll put the cover back in. And what I've noticed is this left button sticks a little bit. Once you've worked it for a while, see, the right button is fine. But if you press it like on the right side of the button, it doesn't stick. But if you go over here, it'll wind up sticking. So I'm very careful. I'm not sure if there's something I could do better that would prevent this from sticking, or if it's just an actual defect. But if you do it on the right side of the button, it goes better. All right, that's step 25. All right, now we're going to start doing the back panel, putting all of this together. A lot of these connections go to the back panel, so here's our back panel. First thing it wants us to do is attach the micro SD card. And I'm not pulling on cables. I'm going to just turn this on its side and screw this in. So that's where the SD card extension cable goes. And we're going to use two 2.3 by 6 millimeter screws. Smaller screwdriver. Yeah. Working with tiny screws is difficult sometimes. I'm just going to attach the SD card extension. There we go. Tiny screws. Okay, so that's step 26. We've attached the micro SD card to the back panel. All right, step 27. Attach the HDMI port to the back panel. That would be this cable, or this cable right here. We're going to have to move this closer in order to make it work. And you got to twist it to get it the proper orientation. Here we're going to have to flip it up because the screws go in on the other side. Only goes one way. First, let's get our screws that we need. We need 2 3x8 screws. We're getting close to being done, folks. We're just going to plug it in and fire it up and go through some software stuff. I'm going to have to do this with the wrong hand, but that's okay. Just get the screws started. So this will be your HDMI out. So if you want to connect it to a bigger TV and play on a bigger TV, you run an HDMI cable there and put it in HDMI mode. That's a menu option on the software, by the way. Okay, so the HDMI cable, that's step 27, that's connected. Step 28, now we're going to plug the audio cable into the audio jack. All right, where's our audio cable? It's right here. And there's an audio jack on this board. Boom. Okay, that's step 28. Step 29, plug the USB power cable. Plug the USB power cable W2, which would be this. Oh, it wants us to plug 3 different things in. So step 29, we're going to connecting 3 cables. All right, so there's a USB port right here, right next to the audio. That's where the USB goes. Make sure I've got the orientation correct. So we've got our audio, our USB power connected. Now it wants us to connect the main wiring harness, which is up here, this black connector. So there's on the DSI. So I'm going to route the, or not on the GPIO cable harness. We want this black connector right here, and that goes to the top port on the back panel. Just kind of slide it in there. It only goes in one way. Am I doing it wrong? No, I got it right. It's just fighting me. Slide it all the way in. All right, so our black cable from the wiring harness is in the back panel board. And the USB extension cable from the Raspberry Pi. That's this one right here. And it goes into the bottom, one of the bottom ports on the back panel. So it's getting to a point where I can't easily show you. All right, so now you want to make sure the main power switch is set to off. It is. And then we're going to plug in the battery. And the battery goes to the other bottom port. All right. So that's all of our connections. So we've got our battery. We've got our USB extension cable here. We've got our Raspberry Pi power via USB here. We've got our audio cable. We've got our wiring harness connector right here. So all right, now the next step is it wants you to carefully guide everything together and press the back panel into place. I'm going to get the screws ready. I'm flipping through the documentation because I've got 4 extra screws and I'm wondering if I missed a step. One, two, three, four. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, I did not miss a step. Interesting. Maybe it just gives you extra screws. Okay, fine. All right, so guide everything into place, and then you're going to take the, you're going to secure the back panel in place using 3x8mm screws, 6 of them, 3 on either side. I just want to take a look, make sure I'm not screwing up any cables or wiring. Again, be very gentle with this step. Something's blocking. The center brace is popping out there. So I dropped a wire or a screw in there, but I don't hear it rattling around. All right, now it fits better. We're just going to screw it down. Hopefully this all works. And I didn't screw up any wires. Okay, back panel is on. Unit is fully assembled. And here's the completed artwork. Looks good. Looks good. I'm aiming this up a little bit. Okay. So we've already done the artwork on the control panel. Let's install the joystick cover. Actually, there's no joystick on here. I don't need them. Haha. Don't need the joystick covers. So for the, that means that for the, to do the menu stuff, we're going to have to use the joystick on the back to navigate the menu because there's no joystick on the control panel. Not a biggie. I love my bit LCD on my at games. I love it. All right, I'm taking the excess stuff, setting them aside. All right, extra stuff. This is all garbage. All right, so I'm going to whip out my power supply for this thing, and we'll plug this thing in. Again, this is ordered off Amazon. It's a 5-volt, 3-amp USB Type-C power supply. And the nice thing about it is it has an inline power switch. And once again, I failed to provide power. So we're going to plug this USB-C from the power supply into the USB-C port on the back of the Build-A-Cade, but I need to get my extension cable, which I should have had in place. It's my temporary power supply for all of my builds, live streams that I should have had out and ready to go. All right. Gotta find an available power. There we go. All right. My arcade's getting crowded again. That's a good thing. All right, there's my power. Plug it in and it shows me that it's charging. So I don't know if you can see it, but the red light indicates that the battery is charging. All right, so we'll go through. I'm going to turn this one of my lights off. I might turn them both off. Where's the power button? All right, yeah. So turn off my lights here. All right, so we're ready to flip this thing on, but first we need a couple of things. I have a full-sized keyboard and mouse that I'm going to use to navigate the menu or go through Glenn's setup process. So I'm going to just go plug those into the available USB ports on the back. So I'll plug my keyboard in. This just allows you to more easily, if you got to type like your Wi-Fi password, it's easier to do it, obviously with a keyboard connected. All right, so I've got my keyboard connected. Got my mouse. Okay. And then we need Glenn's SD card. So like I said, I've got my own image I'm going to use, but I'm going to go ahead and make the setup of Glenn's actual OS a part of the install. So I've got Glenn's SD card here. I'm going to place that in the back in the SD card extension slot. Just pops right in like a micro SD, snaps in. Okay, so let's fire this bad baby up. Power on. Got our marquee. I did see the monitor flicker, so it's got power. And this may take a little while before it starts doing something. Yeah, the artwork looks great on this thing. going to be a fine addition to my little mini arcades. I don't know what we're waiting for here. All right, let me try something. I'm going to try my SD card image. See, the monitor flickers, so I know the monitor's got power. Oh, there we go. Looks like it's doing something. Yeah, Hockey Town, the marquee lights up. Oh, what the heck? I've got Glenn's SD card in. Unless I got a cable loose somewhere. There we go. So it took like the third tries a charm to get this thing moving. All right, so the first thing it says, I'm going to zoom in a little bit more so you can see this better. So you've got Glenn's logo, Arcade Workshop's logo, and it's going through a set of processes up here where it's actually copying files down. It's copying files into place. And now the pin loader is loading, and this is where what you're gonna go through to actually install the RetroPie software. But first, you got to get it set up for Wi-Fi, and that's all a part of the manual too, by the way. So it's telling you network access is required to use PIN without local images. Please select your Wi-Fi network in the next screen. So now I've got my mouse. See, I've got mouse action here. So I'm going to click close. And it's finding the Wi-Fi networks. There's mine. And I'm going to enter the password with the keyboard. Click OK. Now it's connecting to the network. All right. So now it's connected. It sees the Wi-Fi. My IP address is up here, 192.168.1.246. Need to remember that for another step later. But this is the only option to install the Build-A-Cade 3, which is your actual RetroPie OS. So you want to select that. And then click install, and then yes to confirm. So we're going to click on the install button. And then yes. And now it's installing the OS. It says installing images. It's a pretty simple process. It's documented in his manual to go through this initial process. Again, I had to turn it off and turn it back on 3 times in order for it to move on that SD card, because nothing's installed from the outset. All you got is an installer on that SD card. And what it's doing now is it's actually going out to the internet and downloading the RetroPie image that has the free game on it, the Robbie Roto game. Well, that's not good. It's saying it's going to take like an hour and what has happened to my wireless? It's speeding up, but man. That's slow. I'm guessing my streaming is impacting that. Let me see. I'll close out the see if that helps. Because my gal's home and she's upstairs streaming television right now too. So 8%, moving right along. While that goes. Can't really see the monitor very well. Oh man, I forgot to plug in my phone. Did my phone battery just die? Oh crap. Man, oh man. So what's happening is the OS the RetroPie OS is installing. I apologize. I lost that camera. That's my phone, and it actually died because I didn't have it connected to power. And I'm running, what am I running? NDI. So I'm using my cell phone as an camera source. So let's see if we can't get going here again. Can't believe I forgot to do that. Yep, battery died. So I'm at 36% right now. I gotta let the phone charge up before I bring up the NDI camera again. Well, that sucks. That's my fault, folks. All right, now I'm booting up my phone with 2% power. Good news is, by the time I get this fixed, the RetroPie OS should be finished installing. Well, that phone lasted quite a while. Okay, phone is back up. There we go. Sorry for if I'm giving anybody motion sickness. All right, so there's where we're at with the operating system. So I don't know how much of the actual going through the setup I missed because my phone died, but just judging from what I saw on the screen. But that's why I prefer live streaming, because I don't want to have to go back and edit all this again. So we're at 81%. Looks like it's moving right along now. It's got a little picture there of the quick change handheld panel pod that he puts out. You can actually put in one of his control panels in that panel pod. It's easier to swap out those and then plug that panel pod in as a USB device. Works really well. I've got one upstairs. Okay, now it says it's syncing file system. All right, OS installed successfully. So we'll click on OK. And now it's going to reboot. Now I don't need the keyboard and mouse anymore, really. Nice little Glen logo there. And then it's going to boot up into the menu, the Build-A-Cade menu. And here, here I got to use the joystick on the back to navigate the menu, but it comes with one game. And that is The Adventures of Robbie Roto. And I can't really play that game here because I don't have a true joystick here. I could probably use this joystick on the back to do it, but here, let me try it. So it's going to load The Adventures of Robbie Roto. And there it is. So coin in. I don't have, if I have the volume up, yeah, volume's up all the way. And then you want to do player one start. And I'm, again, using the joystick on the back. So this is the free game that comes with the GRS Build-A-Cade. I don't even know how to play this game. All right, so that's the free game. I'm just going to get out. And to get out of the game, you hit one of the, like the player one start and the coin in at the same time. And it goes back to the menu. I'm going to have to use, so what would be my back button here? There it is. All right, player two would be the back button. So you got your menu options, Arcade Classics, all of your ROMs are listed under here. There's only one, and that's the Robbie Roto. Then last played, favorites. I have no idea how to put something in favorites. I'm sure there's a way in RetroPie to do that, or a key sequence that you got to press on each game in order to get it added to favorites. You can learn that on your own. I haven't used it. You got your vertical arcade games, trackball, spinner, 3-button joystick, 1-button joystick, dual joystick, and then your options, okay? So, and then we're back to the beginning. So we're up and running using Glen's provided SD card. And that's how you get that going. So now I'm actually going to take my SD card. I'm going to shut this down. There's a way to shut this down. You hit player one start, navigate down to quit, shut down system, really shut down, yes. All right, so I've shut that down, power off. Now I'm going to pull Glen's SD card out and put mine in. And what you're going to see is this is going to boot up as Miss Pac-Man, because that's, I copied this image on my off of my prototype. So it's set to boot up Miss Pac-Man automatically. So that's what you'll see. But we're going to change that. We're going to fix it. So now it's going to go right into Miss Pac-Man. And there we are. So obviously, I don't want to play Miss Pac-Man here. I've got a Miss Pac-Man Build-A-Cade over there. So I need to alter this image so that it will boot straight into Centipede. But first, let's go find Centipede. So we'll get out of the game using the player one and coin in simultaneously. So you can see I've got 148 games on this image. So let's go to the trackball menu. There's 10 games available on the trackball menu that I have installed. Let's go in there. Let's see, I've got Birdie King on there. Birdie King 2, Birdie King 3, Bowling Alley, Capcom Bowling, Centipede, Crystal Castles, Millipede, Missile Command, and Reactor. So let's go ahead and fire up Centipede. Press the A button. And it's going to load the Centipede ROM. Boom. There we go. Proper orientation and everything. So let's coin in. All right, I got 2 credits actually. So I'll do player one start. Boom. And the trackball takes some getting used to. Could you use an external trackball with this? I bet you could. It plays okay. Ah. It's not, I mean, it's not a life-size trackball feel to it. I mean, it being as tiny as it is, for as tiny as it is, it's a functional trackball. But again, if you want the real experience, you got to play it on a larger box. For arcade aesthetics purposes, I think this suits my nostalgia pretty well. Ah. So game over. All right, so that, that's Centipede, it works. So let's do what I need to do to get it to automatically boot up. And I showed that to you on my last live build stream. And remember, we kind of remembered the IP address. I'm tripping over stuff here in my arcade. I'm moving my chair back over to the desk. All right, so hello, folks. All right, let's see. Boy, that picture sucks on that cell phone camera. Oh, well, you get the gist. Let's see. It does suck. Wow. See if I can't adjust that a little bit. Apparently not. That's a little better. Just turn down the brightness a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to share out Let's see. How do I want to do this? No, get back over there. Okay. So we're going to go share window. All right. So so we remember we remembered the IP address of the device from the setup screen. So that IP address is 192.168.1.246. It's a local network address on my network. So we can browse right into that thing. HTTP 192.168.1.246. Unless the IP address changed. Let me go check. I got to go to the menu on the so we got to get out. Then we got to go back to options menu. And there should be an option for show IP. There it is. And this is actually going to exit out and bring up a network page. Well, 192.168.1.246. Says connection refused. Oh, wonder why that is. I can ping it. No, it's not HTTPS. Oh, you know what? I'm going about this the whole wrong way. Shit, I'm sorry, guys. No, the way to act. Man, I've done this enough times. You'd think I'd remember it. All right, let me share out my screen again. Jesus. I'm going to go with entire screen. Okay. It's Explorer, not a web browser, guys. So as you can see, I could ping the darn thing. So now in Windows Explorer, Boom, now it wants me to log in, and I can't, I don't remember the default credentials. Let me, there it is. So I have the default login and password, username Pi, password Raspberry, and boom. So here's our file. Here's our folders on the actual SD card that's on the cabinet. So, and I showed this to you before, but your ROMs go in the ROMs arcade folder. So that would be the folder, your IP address, then ROMs, then arcade. Okay, I want to get the name of the ROM for Centipede, which is this. All right. So now we're going to go back up, and now we're going to look for the file that I need to change to get the Build-A-Cade to boot straight into Centipede. Trying to remember which folder that was. Nope. Really? I'm going to draw a blank trying to figure this out now. Ah, here we go. So configs all is the folder. And then the file that you want to edit is called autostart.sh. So I'm going to right click. I'm going to say open with Notepad. Where did it open it? Hello. I see Notepad open. Where is it? There it is. It's on another screen. Let's do this again. All right. So the autostart.sh script on the RetroPie IP address in the configs all folder. This is your command to auto start. Well, it'll be a short. When you first open this, it won't have all of this in it. Okay, so this is basically, excuse me. This is basically what this line looks like. But all we need to change is the ROM name. Okay, we're going to save that. Exit out. And then we're going to go over and reboot our Build-A-Cade. So let's go back to my camera view here. Yeah, Chris S., it was actually easy for, yeah, I did take off Robbie Roto on mine as well. I cultivated an image, and I used my first Build-A-Cade, the Miss Pac-Man Build-A-Cade, my prototype, I consider it. And I cultivated the ROMs that I wanted on that image. Now, granted, some of those ROMs aren't going to work on some of these control panels. So, but it's easier for me just to copy, get all the games that I want on the image, and then just do a copy of that image from Build-A-Cade to Build-A-Cade. And then I'll just edit that file and make it auto start into the cab that I want. All right, so I'm going to bring up the emulation station menu, and I'm going to go down to quit, restart emulation station. Actually, no, I'm going to do a restart system. Okay, now it should boot straight into Centipede because I edited that file, autostart.sh. Need the Jeopardy theme here. And boom. So now I have a Build-A-Cade with the Build-A-Cade artwork that when I first turn it on, it boots straight into Centipede. And as you can see, I can go back, again, player one and coin in simultaneously. Go back to the menu. And I can go back to other games. So let's say I wanted to go to another trackball game. Let's say Crystal Castles. What happened? I lost my trackball menu. Let's say Crystal Castles. Little test audio. Coin in. Oh, it didn't run. Shoot, I wonder why that is. Got a bunch of errors there. I didn't really test this when I put it on the image, so I may have to fix that. Bummer. Oh, crap. So I've got a problem with the Crystal Castles ROM that I need to fix. Oh, well. Let's try another one. Let's try Missile Command. So I'll note that problem with Crystal Castles. It's hard to move this trackball around. Ah. Anyway, so that Missile Command works, but I got to figure out Crystal Castles. I'm going to turn it off, turn it back on so it can boot back up into Centipede. So other than that, it's done. And I got it booting into Centipede, but I do need to fix that Crystal Castles issue. And that's a problem on all my images. So, but since I only play that on a trackball machine, I got to fix it on this guy. So I'll play with that offline. All right, booted into Centipede. Okay, folks. Well, that was fun. Yeah, as I said, I build those images from one. I get it to where I want it to be. Then I I I make an image file out of it that sits on my PC upstairs, and then when I go to build a Build-A-Cade, I just copy that SD card. I didn't. I should have tested each and every one of the games. I thought I did, but since Crystal Castles is a trackball game, maybe I just assumed it would work. Um, so there may be other trackball games that might have problems. I don't know. I'll have to test every one of them, but I'll get it fixed. I have no worries there. Anybody have any questions, comments, concerns regarding a Build-A-Cade? Again, a great product from Glenn. He appears to still have the codes still in effect. So if you want to get a Build-A-Cade for your own, use code TMG50 at checkout. And if you want to buy one of those kits for the control panels with the multiple control panels, you can use TMG30 to get 30% off that. So other than that, I got to clean things up here and get about my day. Close stuff out here. So I hope you guys had, I hope I helped you spend your Thursday morning after Christmas well. Like I said, I was bored. I just wanted to help. I could have done this on my own without streaming, but I thought, no, I'll just throw the stream on, and anybody who wants to watch it can watch it. So pretty proud. It's a great looking little Build-A-Cade that'll go in my collection. Yeah. So I appreciate each and every one of you who joined in and watched a little bit here and there. And those of you that participated in the chat, thank you. All you guys, Ted Adam Green, Hockey Town, Thor KC, Chris S., and everybody else that joined. I appreciate each and every one of you. Again, hit the like and subscribe button on your way out if you haven't already done so. And until Sunday, I should be back on Sunday for a regular Sunday stream at 10 a.m. Central. So I will see you all then. And until then, enjoy your time off if you're off. And if you're working, I apologize. I feel bad for you. But yeah, have a great rest of the week, a safe week, okay? And remember, I got next.